Steve Burkowski back on Golf Central with some breaking news. The PGA Tour has just announced that it will deny players waivers into the LIV Golf Invitational Series event that is scheduled to take place in London from June 9th to June 11th. The London event is the first of 8 on LIV Golf's calendar. Today was the deadline for the tour to respond, and they have done just that. Along to break it all down for reaction and a whole lot more, Eamon Lynch and Rex Hoggard. Eamon, let's start with you. You broke the story throughout the course of the day. What is your initial reaction to the news that has come out?
Well, I think a lot of people, Steve, had figured that Jay Monahan would draw the red line a little farther down the road when it came to the Saudi-funded event that was scheduled to be played in Portland in the first week of July. It's a little bit surprising that the line has been drawn here. There was a perception that this event did not differ very much from the Saudi International, for example, played back in February, where players could be granted the necessary waivers to play because it was a one-off event. But the tour has basically concluded, based on the sources I've talked to, that this is a series, that because the Saudis announced a series of 8 tournaments, that this does in fact constitute the germination of a rival league, and on that basis they are denying members the permission to go play there.
You were on top of this from the get-go. We hear the news now, but how did it all play out behind the scenes as you reported on this?
Well, today was the deadline by which the PGA Tour had to deliver its verdict on whether those releases were going to be granted, 30 days out from the first round of that tournament at the Centurion Club in London. And late this afternoon, the players who had requested those waivers, which I'm told were somewhere a little north of 20 players who had asked for those releases, were informed late this afternoon by the tour that those releases were being denied. To what extent those players have been given specific reasons for the denial is not clear, and I suspect for a lot of players it will come as a surprise, because players, and certainly one that I've just been texting with at the moment, who had applied for those waivers, believed that this was kind of like the Saudi event in the past, and it was a typical conflicting event release, not dissimilar to any other that he'd ever accomplished. So he's kind of surprised to find out that he's not getting it this time, but he's waiting to hear what the rationalization is.
Rex Hoggard, you're out on the PGA Tour quite a bit throughout the course of the year. You've been knee-deep into this as well. What's your knee-jerk reaction to the news that has just come out moments ago?
Steve, I think Eamon was right. Most of the players, nearly all of the players I had spoke to had referenced the idea that this was the status quo, that at least giving conflicting event releases for events that were played overseas. Now, we were going to run into a different conversation, as Eamon alluded to, when the next 3 events, the next 4 events are being played in the United States for the LIV Golf Invitational Series. So most players were under the mindset that they were going to get the releases for this particular event. Now, I did talk to one player who had requested it, and even as late as this afternoon, he was still confident that he was going to end up getting this release. And I think this goes back to the idea that even when they granted those releases, and it was nearly 24 players who they released to play in the Saudi International earlier this year, which was on the Asian schedule, even in that release, there were stipulations that said the commissioner does, under the regulations, have the right to deny those requests if they think it's going to do any harm to a sponsor. And in this particular case, it was going to go head-to-head with the RBC Canadian Open, and I think there was a lot of concern internally on that. But the surprise across the board, though, is that this was something that that players thought the tour was going to approve.
So many moving parts, so many dominoes will now fall. Eamon, what do you think the next steps are in the coming hours once players start finding out, days and weeks ahead, in terms of maybe their response to what they're learning?
Well, one player I just texted with told me that in his mind it moves the legal fight up by a few weeks, Steve. And I think there are a number of scenarios that could play out here. A lot of players might just simply choose to observe the tour's ruling on this, because one player I talked to said that a lot of guys who he knew who had applied for waivers were simply going to London to see what this LIV Golf show was like, that they weren't particularly invested in the idea of playing there. Others may choose to defy the tour's ruling here and go play there. And that's where the possibility comes of triggering any kind of disciplinary action. Saying they want to go there or objecting to the ruling will not do that, nor will actually showing up in London. A tee in the ground is what would trigger any disciplinary action on the part of the PGA Tour here. And that becomes a significant problem if you're the USGA right now, Steve, because that event in London is held 1 week before the US Open at the country club in Brookline. So if there is disciplinary action taken against any PGA Tour member or DP World Tour member, if they align on these decisions, then those guys might not be in good standing when it comes to the US Open a week later, and that becomes a decision for the USGA. And I asked the USGA a couple of weeks ago what their view would be on players who are not in good standing with the PGA Tour, and I was told by a USGA spokesperson that while they are the most open of all the championships and pride themselves on that, they do reserve the right to take into consideration any suspensions or disciplinary proceedings by any other tour as part of their decision making.
Yeah, one of those potential dominoes that will trickle down the line in the weeks and months ahead. Rex, you're out there talking to the players, you're texting them, staying in the loop. What sense do you have after hearing what Eamon just talked about, that you might get players that are going to push the envelope, whether the legal ramifications are sped up? Where do you think that might actually happen a month from now in London?
I think there is a consensus. This is going to fast forward whatever legal process we are going to be headed to. And I did talk to one player who has asked for the conflicting event release. And part of the agreement with LIV Golf is that they understand that there was going to be legal action at some point. If it wasn't going to be now, it was going to be later when LIV Golf shifted those events to the United States. And I was told by this one player that LIV Golf has offered to even cover those legal expenses. So this was always part of the conversation going forward. So I don't think there's any surprise there. As far as for the players, it does put the USGA in a very awkward position, because now you start getting into a situation where deadlines are starting to come up for the other events, for the next event, which is scheduled to be in Portland, Oregon. Now, as far as players pushing the envelope, and we talked about this last week, during the first round last week of the Wells Fargo Championship, Sergio Garcia was picked up on a live mic referring to the idea that he's done with this tour in 2 weeks and that he would be happy to be done with the tour. It had to do with the bad ruling that he had gotten. That, without any further context, suggests that Sergio, probably like quite a few other players, are going to be moving on regardless of this decision by the PGA Tour to deny these conflicting event releases.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who actually sees this through to the end. You talk about the USGA. Let's even project, Eamon, a month forward, past that, to the Open Championship, the 150th playing at the Old Course, St. Andrews. What will fall maybe on the R&A, or might they just look at the USGA and say, we're going to let you be the guinea pig here?
Well, as that player told me, Steve, the fight has just moved up by a few weeks. This did look like it was going to end up on the door of Martin Slumbers at the R&A, because the Portland event was going to conclude 11 days before the Open Championship started. But now any player who chooses to defy the Tour's ruling on this and play without permission will be doing so 1 week before the US Open. So it suddenly becomes an issue more for Mike Whan and his championship committee as to what stand they wish to take on this. And there's very little evidence so far, as this story has unfolded over the last couple of years, that there's much in the way of daylight between the governing bodies here and the PGA Tour in terms of how they view this Saudi-funded enterprise. Certainly the comments that Fred Ridley made during his press conference at the Masters suggested that he was very much supportive of what he described as the current ecosystem in the game.
Rex, a few months ago, Rory McIlroy and so many other of the world's best players came out pretty adamantly saying, we are committed to the PGA Tour. This is our home. We're not worried about LIV Golf. 3 months later, you still have a couple of their peers, a couple of dozen, if you will, still trying to press forward. What kind of divide do you think there might be amongst the PGA Tour players that are thinking about it and are completely opposed?
I think for the first time throughout this entire process, you started to sense that divide when we were in Los Angeles, where everything seemed like it was coming to a head. And according to various reports before Phil Mickelson's comments, LIV Golf was prepared to make a very, very similar announcement. We're kind of back in that same situation. Even last week at the Wells Fargo Championship, when I was talking with players and people around the game, Eamon just mentioned 20 players at least requested the conflicting event releases. That number has been ratcheted up to 40, 50 players, which I found hard to believe because it's only going to be a 48-man field. I think what the problem is you clearly can now see the have and the have-nots on the PGA Tour as far as those who have an interest in playing these events and those like Rory who've been very, very outspoken. Now, I did reach out to a LIV Golf spokesman about this announcement, have not heard back yet, but they do plan to have a press conference tomorrow in London that's going to include CEO Greg Norman.
Eamon, following up on that, what do you think we might hear from Greg Norman and the opposing view of the news that has come out tonight?
Well, maybe he'll read out his Surely You Jest letter from a couple of months ago. This is proof that Jay Monaghan isn't really messing around here. And I just received a message from another player who said this is Jay Monaghan communicating to his membership, who didn't ask for the waivers, that he has their back and that he is fully aligned with keeping the PGA Tour in its current dominant position. And I was asked if that will be popular with the membership, and I was told that it would be very popular with the membership, except those who were perhaps seriously entertaining the idea of playing the Live Golf events. So now it becomes, I think, a matter of who will have standing to sue, Steve, because this will end up in litigation in one form or another. Perhaps it will be Live Golf who will file suit claiming an antitrust basis, or they may claim that the Tour is preventing them from launching their enterprise by denying players the right to play. Or, more interestingly, probably, it could be a player who chooses to litigate over the Tour's right to control their schedule. But these schedules and the Tour's influence over it are part of the membership protocols that every single member of the PGA Tour has always signed up to. So it's not a surprise to any of them.